Have you ever felt like something invisible is holding you back, like you're stuck in a loop, making the same mistakes, running into the same problems in your relationships, your career, and your life, but you just can't figure out why? It's frustrating, right? It feels like you're not in the driver's seat of your own life. Well, what if I told you that there's a reason for that feeling? And it has a name. The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung called it the shadow. Jung issued a powerful warning that has echoed through the decades. The shadow you refuse to see ends up controlling your entire life. Think about that for a second. The very things you try to ignore, the fears you bury, the emotions you hide, the parts of yourself you deny, they don't just magically disappear. Instead, they gather power in the dark, in the unseen corners of your mind. From there, they take over. They pull the strings. In this video, we're going on a journey into this hidden territory. We're going to uncover how your unseen shadow subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, shapes your daily choices, influences who you love, sabotages your success, and ultimately dictates your destiny. And we'll do this right up until the moment you finally decide to turn around and face it, because that's the moment everything changes. So, what exactly is this shadow? It's not some evil monster lurking inside you. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is simply the unknown side of your personality. It's the collection of all the traits, impulses, and desires that you've repressed or disowned, usually because they didn't fit with your ideal self-image or what society told you was acceptable. From a very young age, we learn to sort our characteristics into good and bad piles. Kindness, generosity, and diligence. Those go in the good pile. We show them off proudly. But what about anger, jealousy, laziness, or selfishness? We're taught to be ashamed of these, to hide them away. So, we push them down, deep into the unconscious, creating our personal shadow. The problem is, anything you push into the unconscious doesn't cease to exist. It just operates outside of your conscious control. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but it takes a ton of energy, and eventually, it's gonna pop up, often at the most inconvenient moment possible. This is where the real trouble begins. Your shadow doesn't just sit quietly in the dark. It wants to be seen. It wants to be integrated. So, it finds ways to make itself known, and one of the most common ways is through projection. Have you ever been incredibly annoyed by a specific trait in someone else? Maybe it's your coworker's arrogance, or your friend's constant need for attention. Jung would say that what irritates you most in others is often a disowned part of your own shadow. You're essentially seeing your own hidden traits mirrored back at you. You unconsciously project your own repressed arrogance or need for validation onto them because it is safer to judge it out there than to admit it exists in here. This is why you might find yourself in recurring conflicts or drawn to the same type of person who pushes all your buttons. Your shadow is trying to get your attention by waving a giant red flag in the form of another person. It's saying, hey, look, this is part of you, too. Let's look at a real-life example. Imagine a man named Alex who sees himself as an incredibly kind and selfless person. He goes out of his way to help others, always says yes, and avoids conflict at all costs. But he's constantly surrounded by what he calls selfish, demanding people who take advantage of his good nature. He complains about it endlessly. From a shadow perspective, Alex has likely repressed his own healthy selfishness, the ability to set boundaries, to say no, and to prioritize his own needs. Because he denies this part of himself, he projects it onto others and then attracts people who force him to confront it. His life becomes a stage where his announced shadow plays out in the behavior of those around him. He's not really a victim of selfish people. He's a victim of his unacknowledged shadow. The shadow doesn't just mess with our relationships, it sabotages our goals. Let's say you want to start your own business. You're passionate and have a great idea. But deep down, you have a buried fear of failure. You were told as a child that making mistakes was a terrible thing. So, you push that fear into your shadow. Consciously, you're all in. But unconsciously, your shadow is working against you. You find yourself procrastinating on important tasks. You forget to follow up with potential investors. You self-sabotage at every turn. You might blame the economy, bad luck, or a lack of time. But the real culprit is the shadow fear you refuse to face. It asks orchestrating your failure from behind the scenes to protect you from the very thing it fears most. Until you acknowledge that fear, it will continue to control your destiny, keeping you stuck in a safe but unfulfilling place. So, how do we stop this from happening? How do we take back control from the shadow? The answer is not to fight it or destroy it. The answer is to integrate it. This is what Jung called shadow work. It's the process of turning around, shining a light into the darkness, and consciously acknowledging these hidden parts of yourself. It starts with radical self. Pay attention to your projections. What qualities in others trigger a strong emotional reaction in you? Make a list. Be brutally honest. If your boss's need to be in control drives you crazy, ask yourself, where in my life am I secretly craving more control? If your sibling's laziness infuriates you, ask, where am I denying my own need for rest and relaxation? This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about reclaiming lost parts of your own psyche. Next, listen to the language of your dreams and daydreams. The unconscious often speaks in symbols. A recurring dream of being chased might represent a fear you're running from in waking life. A fantasy of telling everyone off might reveal a store of repressed anger. Don't dismiss these things. Get curious about them. What are they trying to tell you? A dream journal can be an incredibly powerful tool for this kind of exploration. And finally, practice compassionate self-acceptance. When you discover a dark trait in yourself, maybe some jealousy, some pettiness, some anger, the goal isn't to indulge it destructively. It's to acknowledge it without judgment. You can say to yourself, okay, a part of me feels jealous right now. That's interesting. I see it. By simply seeing it, you take away its secret power. It's no longer an unconscious force controlling you from the shadows. It becomes a conscious piece of information you can choose how to act on. When you integrate your shadow, something amazing happens. You become more whole. That repressed anger, once acknowledged, can be transformed into a powerful fuel for setting boundaries and creating positive change. That hidden selfishness can become healthy self. That fear of failure, once faced, can become a source of caution and careful planning that leads to success. The energy you were using to hold that beach ball underwater is suddenly freed up. You feel more authentic, more grounded, and more powerful because you're no longer at war with yourself. You stop being a puppet and become the puppeteer. The people who used to trigger you lose their power because you've owned the part of you they were mirroring. The self-sabotaging behaviors fade away because the hidden fears have been brought into the light. You begin to make conscious choices from a place of wholeness, not from a place of unconscious compulsion. This is true freedom. The journey into the shadow isn't easy. It can be uncomfortable and humbling to face the parts of ourselves we'd rather deny. But the alternative, as Jung warned, is a life lived on autopilot, controlled by forces we don't understand. A life that isn't truly ours. So I invite you to get curious. Start paying attention to the clues. What is your shadow trying to tell you? The moment you turn to face it, is the moment you start to reclaim your life. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If this exploration of the shadow resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content on psychology and self-growth. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What S1 projection you've noticed in your own life? Sharing our experiences helps us all feel a little less alone in the dark. Until next time, be kind to yourself.